All right, shalom, shalom to the nation of Israel, shalom, all right? This is your brother Kazaki out of Great Millstone, New Orleans, coming at you with another lesson through the spirit of power, Yahweh Shema Shai, right? We're probably getting started. We want to give our infinite honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Harakakadash. Double honor to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone, rule and teach well. Peace, blessings, and salutations be to the whole elect scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, all right? And the title of today's lesson is going to be The Usual Suspects, okay? That's the title of today's lesson. Is going to be the usual suspects, and it's going to be predicated off of, centered around, crime, all right, and the things that's going on with the earth, and the issues, the problems, okay, that we're having, right, and basically, who's behind it. Now, here's just a AI, whatever, just a suspect, drawing or whatnot, and that I had asked for, and I thought it was pretty funny in its own way that it basically kind of chose three Edomites up here, and basically that'll be like 1, 3, and 5 basically, now that goes without saying. Anybody obviously could commit a crime. It doesn't necessarily have to be an Edomite. It could be a J. It could be, you see a, so-called, Asian guy up here as well. But, this, lesson will be, centered around, who was causing the wickedness, in the planet Earth, okay? Like who's being a busybody, doing all the evil matters, right? And perpetuating it, right? Who's continuing it, all right? Because I was having it's funny because I was having a conversation with a Sicilian guy or whatever, and which is the dude's probably a Jake, but he was all built on the crime statistics and how Jake is the face of crime, right? And you can see Jake here pretty much, as suspect number 2 in the lineup for the crime, but Jake face is plastered all over the news every time a crime is being committed, okay? And Jake is also basically targeted and plastered and to fill the so-called prison houses, right, to fill up the prisons and things of that nature. That's why he pretty much would commit or can commit a so-called smaller crime, a more petty crime, and get 10 times the time for the crime, man, while other people they get off for it. But this here lesson is just centered off of, who's doing the wickedness in the earth, man. And it's the Edomites, you so-called white people, okay? You're the ones, basically, destroying the air, okay? Destroying the food, destroying the water, right? You have people basically, doing crazy stuff, singing, a whole bunch of folly, rapping about a whole bunch of folly, okay? Because that's, pretty much all black culture is deaf culture, right? With the whole, pretty much hip hop and rap and different things of that nature, all right? But you're actually the one that's, you're actually the one that's paying the people to continue to push, to promote it, instead of just stopping it and being like, hey, look, we're not going to do that. Let's not talk about that. Let's not do that. Right. Okay. Okay. Again, the promotion of wickedness within the earth, the promotion of adultery, the promotion of fornication. Okay. The promotion of idol worship. Okay. The promotion of worshiping money. Okay. And the list goes on and on and on and on and on. It just doesn't stop, man. Okay. And again, this is just, like I said, an AI drawing, so to speak, but like I said, I thought it was pretty funny how it didn't put another person in there, but it basically put 3 Edomites in there, right? One 3 and 5, and you could kind of tell they kind of all have their own um thing about themselves, right? You got, number one, he has a more maybe like a more young Edomite, type of look. Okay, 3, that's the middle age, the middle age devil. Okay, you know, um, you know, and then you have 5 that looks like you know, maybe could go, for a cross between a Jake and an Edomite or something like that, or could just be, you know, yeah, something along the lines of that, right? He's got the bald head, he's got the goatee with the chain on, you know what I'm saying? But the point is, Esau, you're the one behind the crimes, man. Like, you're the you when behind every crime, and especially a major crime, is a white face, man. Okay, you're the usual suspect. That's the point. All right, and um let's get a few scriptures real quick. All right, this is Malachi 1 and verse 4. It says, "Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord have indignation forever." So the Lord has a basically a righteous anger against you forever. Why? Because you're the wicked, man. Okay, you're the wicked on the earth. All right. When you go to the entertainment industry, right, the people, that's whatever, they're entertaining people, they're acting, they're singing, they're dancing, whatever the case may be. Whenever there's some folly or wickedness going on, you're at the head of it. Okay. Like I said, you're the one promoting it, pushing it, you know, making sure that it's done in society, that it sustains itself. Okay, so if you go through the lineup, we picking 1, 3, 1, 3, or 5, and like I said, this is just a AI generated drawing. This is not of anybody in particular or anything like that. It's just art or whatnot. Okay, you know. So let's go back here. Read that one more time. It says, "Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places." Okay, and it says, "Thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness." And the border, of something is, in so many words, it's like the beginning and the ending of something, right? If you go, let's just say, hypothetically, you coming into the West Coast, right? The West Coast of the United States has a border. But then you go all the way to the East Coast, there's a border over there too as well, right? So you began at the, West, and you went all the way east. That's the end, right? The beginning, the ending, same thing with North and South. Okay. And you can even go as far to say, everything that's all in between. Right. And, completion, right? All right. That's Esau, right? He's all he's all the wickedness combined into one, you know. But anyway, let's go to the next precept. Because like I said, let's go here. All right, this is Proverbs 29 and verse 2. It says, "When the righteous are in authority, okay, the people rejoice." So, by simple process of elimination, Esau can't be righteous because we know that Esau is in authority, right? Okay, let me finish this verse real quick first. It says, "But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn," right? So, like I said, by a process of elimination, if Esau was righteous, it's simple. The people would be happy, right? But what what are the people doing? They're pissed off, mad, upset, right? You got the people ready for the basically the world to end, a so-called revolution, things to come to naught, right? People looking, forward to the second coming of the Messiah. It's just all kinds of things going on, man. All kinds of different beliefs being pulled in all types of directions. Okay, and that's because you devils are the ones that's in charge, man. Okay, you you're the face behind the wickedness, behind the problem, man. Okay, even though you try to put Jake face out there, and I ain't saying Jake don't do nothing wrong. Obviously, that's not what I'm saying. But you're the one pushing and you're the one promoting the craziness, right? When you look at the music industry, right? You look at those guys. What do, man? They basically seller sells, sell their souls, man, for some money. That's it. That's all they do. They basically sell their integrity for some money. And I think one of the most ridiculous videos you could ever watch is, those guys when they go to the record label, man. Right? I don't know if, you better seen it or not, but when they go to the record label and had to perform a hit song in front of all of these Edomites, right? They have all these Edomites at a round table and sitting all throughout various parts of the room. It's absolutely, it's disgusting, man. It's degrading as hell, man. I think there's a verse, Salaki. I'm going to get this verse real quick. I want to say it's around... I believe this is it. This is Sirach 10 and verse 9. It says, why is earth and ashes proud? And it says, there is not a more wicked thing than a covetous man. Right? A man that just, that man's basically, greedy for gain, man. Right? And it says, for such and one setteth his own soul to sell. Right? Because while he liveth, he casteth away his bowels, man. And that's what Jake ended up doing, man. He ended up basically, just selling himself, right? Selling himself to, these Edomites for money. Sell his soul, basically try to sell his soul for a contract, man. It's just, like I said, it's disgusting. But the point is, they're the ones that's at the head of the record label. So if they didn't want that, to portray that image in society, right? I'm gonna go back here. If they don't want that, didn't want to portray that image in society, it wouldn't be so, right? It's just that simple. They wouldn't have it, right? And that leads me. I'm gonna read this one more time. It says, "When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. Everybody be happy. We'll be cool. The people will be in a much better spirit than what they are now, right?" And it says, "But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn," man. All right. And the people are in a state of mourning. No one's happy. Everybody's pissed off. Everybody's on edge. People are about to they're about to crack. Okay. They're about to what they say in today's time. Or they're about to crash out, ultimately. All right. This is Job 9 and verse 24. It says, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. All right. So the earth itself is given into the authority, the control of the wicked, man. And we see that. All right. And it says he covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? So, if the earth, was not given the wicked is not ruling the earth, then who's actually ruling the earth, man? Um, who's the guy that's actually poisoning the water, right? That's yeah, I believe it's fluoride, putting fluoride in the water. The water's full of nothing but lead. Okay, who's the guy? You know, who's the guy that poisons the air, man? That puts chemtrails in the air. The air is full of heavy metals. Okay, you know, damn toxins and shit. Like it's just full of all kinds of stuff, man. You go outside, you try to take get you a nice good breath of fresh air, okay, and he done damn poisoned it, man. Basically, right? He's at the head of this, man. He's at the head of these things. You know, the scriptures tell you that. Okay, let's go here. All right, this is Isaiah 24, verse 5. It says, the earth also is defiled underneath the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. Okay, and the earth is defiled. Is the point that we wanted to get from out of that the verse, man, because not only destroy the water, not only destroys the air, okay, but he destroys the actual soil, man. If I'm not mistaken, I believe when you plant, okay, GMO cropped foods, that soil is tainted for a very, very long period of time, and you can't use it anymore, right? The earth used to be rich, right? Even here in Babylon the Great, America, the soil used to be extremely rich, man. Okay, they had a very profitable, enriched soil, man. Now I think when you look it up, it tells you like something along the lines of 70%. 70% of the soil is depleted, right? So even if you do grow stuff, it's not growing to its full, extent, like its full strength and what it's supposed to be. Same thing, with the food, man. Okay, you know. So how did the soil get depleted? It was from Esau, man. Like I said, when you plant the GMO crops, the different foods and stuff like that, you'll and get it to grow through, because they use a process of, they use like in so many words, science, tech, to harvest this stuff in a large amounts, vast and very fast. Okay, but when you do that, it'll completely destroy the soil, man. I think, if I'm not mistaken, you may not even be able to use it anymore. It's either that or it's a long time, a long period of time. You know, um, let's get another precept real quick. Let's see here. Let's see. Actually, we'll go. This is Proverbs 14 and verse 32. It says, the wicked is driven away in his wickedness, but the righteous have hope in his death, right? I'm going to read the same one in the GNT. It says, wicked people bring about their own downfall by their evil deeds, man. And And what's happening in so many words, you reap what you sow. Okay, what goes around comes around, man. Okay, you sow nothing but wickedness and evil deeds within the earth, right? The scriptures tell you the evil was sown, okay, throughout the planet, okay, and now it's time to, it's time to reap what you sow, man. Okay, it's time for the return of, Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. Okay, you know, and the law is coming for you, you devils, man, and what you did to the earth. Okay, he knows that you're the usual suspect, right? You're the guy, right? Like I said, it's not saying that anybody else couldn't commit a crime, but behind all these different major crimes throughout the planet Earth, right? When you dig down deep, right, and pull back the layers of that onion, right, and pull back the layers to see what's really going on, and all these different things that's going on the earth, right? Right, like right now we have the war. Okay, we have our, Iran and the U.S. and Israel and all. It's the Edomites that's behind all this, man. That's causing all these different things to happen. Okay, as a whole, them as a whole, I'll say that. Because we know the elite bankers, you know, um, are pushing for this whole new society, so to speak. So there's certain things that they had to accomplish and get done in order to implement, right? That NWO, okay? And it's gonna happen. All right. There's no doubt about it. It's gonna happen. But the Lord's gonna come and destroy him, right? Just when he's about to fill his belly, so to speak. Okay. The Lord's gonna come and strip him and take him from out of power. All right. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have, through the spirit and power Yahweh Shemal Shah. Hey, look, the title of today's lesson was the usual suspects, right? And we're talking about, for the most part, these major crimes. We talk about the earth being off balance, out of course. The people are hurt. The earth is hurting, man. The animals are hurting. Everybody's waiting, in so many words. The scriptures tell you that the creature is basically waiting, man, for the manifestation of the sons of men. I was like the sons of God. Okay, people want the earth to be restored, especially the righteous, right? The elect. We want the earth to be restored to righteousness. Okay, we want the earth to be restored to its first estate. Okay, we're tired of seeing, we're vexed every day and tired of seeing this wickedness, man, that goes on, this folly, But yeah, Esau, you're the one, man. Okay, you're the one. Okay, behind every crime, and especially every major crime, I'll say that, it is a white face, man. You're destroying the earth, you're destroying the water, you're destroying the food, you're destroying the minds of the people, man. Okay, and you're going to pay for that too as well. All right. But like I said, title of today's lesson was, the usual suspects. Esau, you're the usual suspect. Okay. All right. But like I said, that's all I had through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemal Shah. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying, first and foremost to the whole for elect. But prior to getting out of here, we want to give all infinite honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim HaRakakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone who rule and teach well. Peace, blessings, and salutations be to the whole for elect scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. All right. Kwam Yasha Allah, Ababa Ball, Shalom.